All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD1100 C# programming class, I have been going through, or re-going through, Chapter 12 of our book. And Chapter 12 is on how to create and use classes. I decided to go back and review, or whatever you want to call it, the PowerPoints for this, and then we're going to look at some examples too. All right, so as we go through this, as I mentioned at the end of the last lecture, this is the product maintenance form. So this is our main form. And what is it? Basically, it's a list box with a listing of every one of our products. What does that mean? It means it called that display text to show a product code, a tab, a product price, a tab, and a product description for all four of the products that we have in there. If we click Add Product, it brings up a new form which has got a blank code, a blank description, and a blank price. All right. Once you fill them in, much like they've done here, and you click Save, then the product will go in here. Now, if we come in and, for example, with a list box, it is possible for you to come in and say that you want it sorted by a field. So if we tell it to sort by this field here, you can tell it's not, because, of course, A comes before C. So by default, it'll probably go at the end. But if we sorted it, we could put it in alphabetic order based on our product code if we wanted to do that. All right. There's also something called the tag property, and we're using that for the text boxes on the new product form. So let's bounce back and forth because I brought this up. All right. So what do we have here? Actually, I was going to say I've got it twice, but here is our product class. This should look very familiar to you. Why? Because we've been looking at it, started to in the last chapter. Here again are our fields. They're all private. 2 are strings. The code and the description, 1 is a decimal. Here is our no arg constructor. Here is our full arg constructor. And here we are coming in and we are using public properties. We are using public properties to set these values, these private values. And remember, there is absolutely nothing wrong with what the author shows here. Nothing. But it should work if we also just do this. Like that. All right, which means I would have to take all of this and comment it out. All right, and then we could do this. And again, then we'd have to go in and comment all of this out. And finally, we would do it one last time. Oops. And again, we'd have to comment all this out. You can already see by us doing this what we're saving as far as the number of lines of code. It's 1 line versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines. So we're saving 10 lines of code. But since the author has not yet discussed auto-implemented properties, that's why I believe at least they haven't gone through it yet. Here is our 2 get display text methods. One where we pass in no separator, so we create our own comma blank space, and one where we pass in a separator. So if that was a tab, it would put a tab here and a tab there. Now, I'm just going to try this. I'm going to do a file save all, and I'm going to run it just for my own edification to make sure that this still works just fine. So we're running the program. I should have probably run it from the form, but it doesn't really matter. All right, now, maybe it didn't like it like that. All right. The add product, let's make the code A123, the description, some description, and the price, $4.99. Click Save. Price must be a decimal value. We have to put an M there. Price must be oh, that's because I put the dollar sign there. 4.99. Does that work? Yeah. But it went and changed all these. So I'm going to contradict myself and say we did need to do it this way. All right. The get sets by themselves didn't work. Not sure right now why, but we'll go over that later. So let's do this. Uncomment here. This. Uncomment here. This. Uncomment here. All right, let's go back and do another file, save all, run it again, and see if we now get there's our right values. All right, I can't make this look bigger, sorry. But I could come in and add a new product, AA2233, the book of my life, and the price will be $99.99. Save. There it is. I can highlight it. I can click delete. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. Boom. You can see everything works. All right. And we can exit. Now sometimes through our own foibles, as they say, all right, we learn. And I'm learning just as you are. So this tag property, let's look at each text box that we've got in here. So I want to go over to our form, which is our product main. That's this form. All right. And it says here, the tag property for the text boxes. The code, the description, and the price. And actually, I believe that's the wrong form that's up. It should be this one. All right, so that one, there's the code. And I'm going to look in here for something we haven't dealt with this semester. That is a tag property. And you'll notice it's set to code. Here we've got description, and it's set to description. Here we've got price, and it's set to price. All right. We're able to use that in conjunction with what we're actually doing when we're validating. You'll see that in just a moment. So here's the product class. Nothing new there. We've already talked about this. Okay? We've already talked about the constructor, both the parameterless constructor and the full arg constructor. We've also have another class called ProductDB. Okay, it says you don't need to know how this works because eventually when we get to chapter 17 and 18, it will allow us to either put things into a database or retrieve things from a database. All right. We've also got this validator class. Let's take a look at that because I kind of rushed over it earlier. So let's go into here. Let's find the class called Validator. And let's open it up. Again, classes do not have GUIs. Classes are only text. So here's our entry error. So what are we doing here? We're asking if we're checking to see if the text box that we're passing in is empty. And if it is empty, so this is whatever text box we're passing in. So if we leave it empty, it should say For example, notice it's using that tag. So it should say either code is a required field and put the focus back to code, or it should say price is a required field and put the focus back to price, or it should say description is a required field and put the focus back to description. Let's see if indeed that's the case if we attempt to add a new product. Oops. So let's press the add product. We're going to leave that empty, and it comes back and it says code is a required field. So we put in there a code. Then it says description is a required field. So we put in a description. And we save. And now it says price is a required field. So we put in a price. And you'll notice once we do all that, it is put in. All right, I'm just going to remove it right away. Boom. So that is checking all of the fields, all three of the fields, to make sure there's something there. Then for our price field, and only for our price field, again, for our price field, but only for our price field, the system goes through and says, is it a decimal? All right. And if it's not, it says must be a decimal value. You've already seen that, so I'm not going to run through it again. The is in 32, etc. That stuff we're going to be using later, and that within range. So let's not worry about that right now. I guess we can go back. We can run it again. And I can put in a new product. A009 something. But if I don't put this in as a decimal, how about hello? It comes back and it says price must be a decimal value. All right. I just put in a 9. It takes it. I didn't try this, but let's delete this and let's re-add something. Whoops, doesn't matter what. If I put in 44.99M, I just want to see if it would take it with that. It says must be a decimal value. All right. Well, it's trying to convert it to a decimal in here, so it doesn't want the M in there. See how it put it in? All right. There we go. Hopefully this is helping at least somewhat. All right. So, again, title is the generic thing that's going to say, whether, for anything that might be displayed for an error message. Is present checks to make sure the field isn't empty. Is in 32 is going to check to see if it's an integer. Is decimal, so we're not using that one now. Did we put a decimal value in there, something that could be converted to a decimal? And is within range, we'll hit on that later as well. This is the code for the product maintenance form. All right. And this is going to come in, let's just put this into very simplistic terms. This one right here, it says when the form loads, you want to call get products. And what get products is going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to find wherever the get products is. Okay, I guess it's not in here. I thought it was. But it's going to come in and it's going to grab every product and it's going to fill up that list box. So the first product that's in there, product code, product price, product description. The second one, product code, product price, product description, etc. So this grabs all of them. And then for each time it grabs a product, it calls fill list box. So this will grab all the products and then fill the list box with all the products. Clearing it out first, then using a for each. And it's calling the display text, and it's using a tab as the delimiter. The add, when you look at what happens in here, what is it doing? It's creating a new product. That's what this is doing. All right. Then it's calling get new product. If the product was not null, we'll add it to products. We'll save it. Now it's not being saved yet to a database, I do not believe, so that when we stop the run, whatever we've added or deleted from a product is going to be as though we did nothing. All right. And then we fill the list box. Delete says basically, do we have something to delete? And if we do, it says, are you sure you want to delete this? If you say yes, it's going to remove it. Exit will close. Okay? Here is the code for the new product form. So what's that doing? Private product equal null. Get new product. It shows that dialog box. And that's the dialog box that's got the code. It's got that little box that's got a label that said code followed by a blank text box, a label that's got description followed by a blank text box, and a label that says price followed by a blank text box. So the idea is that you will put all that stuff in and click save, which will validate it. And if it validates, it will write that back and then close what you're working on. V is valid data, again, is going to make sure that there is something in these three fields and that what's in the last field is also decimal. And if any of these fail, you'll get that error message. If you click the cancel button, it just closes. The validator text code we've already gone over. All right. Oh, and I know, I think what it, well, we'll see. The syntax for coding an auto-implemented property. Where are we time-wise? We're up to 18 minutes again, and I have not done very much, to be honest with you. All right, so let's go through this section, and then we will have a part 3. The syntax for coding auto-implemented properties. Public, the type, the property name with a capital, and a get set. Notice you can do this and give it an initial value. Like we saw before, there is a statement that sets the value of an auto-implemented property. There's one that gets the value of an auto-implemented property. We talked about read-only before, so you've seen this, meaning there's a get but no set. The same property using an expression body. This is basically a lambda expression, and what it says is public decimal, we want this to contain the results of this. So the discount amount is the subtotal times the discount percent. A method that returns the value of an expression, so this returns a string. The same method using an expression body. Again, we're using a lambda there. A method that executes a single statement, and one using an expression body. They're showing you two ways of doing the same thing. If you find this hard to understand, I'd recommend starting by going out to docs.microsoft.com and looking up lambda expressions. If you still find it hard to use, don't use it. All right. We're getting there, and I'm going to stop right here under using the live code analysis to generate a class. Pick that up on part 3.